All right, guys. So anybody who's ever dealt with eczema, I believe me, I empathize with you. I understand the struggle, the uncomfortableness of it. All right. So obviously, if you tuned into this video, you understand and you're probably in search of something, right? Because everything else seems to not be working. So just to give you a little bit of a backdrop, a little bit of story, I have dealt with eczema since I was in high school. And I'll be honest with you, I thought it was just dry skin, like severe dry skin. I didn't even know what it was. Frankly, it didn't really matter. And initially, it was just like a seasonal thing. It would hit me kind of in the winter, and I would get it on my eyebrows. And like I said, I didn't really think much of it. But it started really taking a toll on me like in college. When I was about like 19 is when I really started noticing like, damn, like I had it all over my eyelids, my eyelashes, my eyebrows. So I was just a crusty looking dude. It was quite embarrassing. And actually it took a toll on me socially as well. I felt very uncomfortable because I knew that if I was looking at someone, I knew they could see all the crusty stuff around me. And it's just like embarrassing. I was not comfortable with it at all. So I really did have a hard time socializing because of it. And so that became a big problem for me. And anyhow, so I had dealt with it on and off, and initially at that time it was more like seasonal. So in the summertime I was good. In the winter, I lived in a place that was at high elevation. It was very dry, so that just literally opened up my skin and just caused all kinds of problems. And then went to the doctor, got prescribed some steroid creams. So I would use them when I needed to. And so this happened on and off, on and off. And then I didn't want to use the steroid creams anymore. Excuse me. And so what I did was I said, well, let me try to find a natural way of trying to figure this out because I'm like, there's something going on. I need to find a way. And so here are some of the strategies that I used. And so before you think about what can I add, think about what you can take away. Okay, but let's start with the typical run-of-the-mill strategies that you could probably find online and that you've probably been recommended. But making sure that you do all these before you do stay tuned for the very last thing that I did that was probably the most fundamental thing I did. Okay, so the first thing obviously is make sure that your nutrients are on point. In particular, vitamin D. So if you're not getting enough sun, then take a supplement. That'll help with the flare-ups and usually just skin in general. The other thing is your diet. You have to clean up your diet. So it's not so much what you put in, but what you don't put in. All right. So stay away from other processed stuff. Try not to eat so much greasy food. Just try to eat very simple stuff. I would say the less ingredients, the better. Some people, for me, for a little while, initially it did work. Eating a vegan diet did help initially, but then afterwards, eventually the everything came back. So that was the other major thing, and then just drinking a lot of water. Um, like I said, trying to stay away from the processed stuff. That is ultimately the main thing. Staying away from greasy stuff. The other thing that is kind of almost impossible to kind of do in the modern world is not be stressed. You're apparently not supposed to get stressed. The other thing you could do is exercise. Exercise is really good to calm the nervous system down, relax. So that's always good. But like I said, I did all these things, right? And then it never stopped. It never stopped. I would still get it. The worst part was, and this was like the probably the scariest thing for me, is that I got it on my penis. Um, and I laugh about it now, but initially I was super scared. Like, so I was like, oh my God, this is God punishing me. Like I shouldn't have been sleeping around. Like, what was I thinking? So I'm obviously thinking it's herpes, it's genital herpes, right? Why wouldn't I? I mean, it's not so like, why the hell would my penis be swollen? So I went to the emergency room and I was like, look, doc, I think it's herpes. And he's like, yeah, I think so too. Like, he was just like agreeing with me. I guess because I was so convinced, he was so convinced. So he gave me like herpes medication. And then like a week later, we found out it was just eczema. So, so I've had a lot of issues with the eczema. That was probably the worst one, right? Because it's so uncomfortable. It was so itchy. Um, but the main thing that I did, aside from cleaning up the diet, I think that has been one of the more fundamental, was that I stopped giving it so much importance. I started thinking to myself, The reason that I think I haven't been able to get rid of it or shake it was because I had given it so much energy, right? So I literally just told myself I don't have eczema anymore. It doesn't exist. It was that simple, and there was something about that I convinced myself of it. I was like, I'm not gonna concern myself with it anymore. And sure enough, it could have been other things. I don't know. But the reality is, I haven't had to deal with it anymore. Since I put that in my head, it does not exist. I don't know what it is anymore. What are you talking about? I've never heard of such a term. I don't know what it is. So try that. See if you've done everything, and even then, it's not going away. Maybe think about the fact that perhaps it's because you're so identified with it that it sticks around. You'd be surprised how strong the body is. So it's like if you don't give something importance, it doesn't exist. Because I'll tell you what, I probably had eczema when I was a kid too, but I didn't know because I didn't think about it. I didn't really give it a thought. And so when I started giving it importance is when it started surfacing and staying around and sticking around for as long as it did. And look, I mean, I could eventually maybe it could come back again, but I'm comfortable enough to say that I don't think I'll have to deal with it again. And sure enough, like I said, I've done all the right things. I've exercised consistently. I work out. I do all the things that conventionally you're supposed to do to make sure that it doesn't come back. And so I think that's the last bit. If you decide that maybe you've tried everything and you feel like nothing's working, try that. See what happens when you don't give it so much importance. Don't give it the energy and see what happens. I know it's a little bit on the esoteric side, like why would that even work? But don't knock it. Try it out. See if it helps. Because like I said, if you've gotten to the point where you're watching this video, you're probably in a desperation mode, right? And frankly, I empathize with you because I remember how frustrating it was to be like, I can't shake this. I don't know why I'm not able to be able to live comfortably because people don't realize how paralyzing it could be. Literally can impact your mood, your ability to socialize, your ability to work, your ability to get up. I mean, it's embarrassing and frankly, it's painful. So I'm with you on that, and I hope that you can heal. And so take my word of advice and see if maybe you just don't give it the energy. It doesn't exist anymore in your mind, and see if that helps. But I'll see you in the next one.